Hey guys, so this video will be some tips and tricks I've learned throughout my sticker making journey. There was a lot of things that I had trouble with. There was a lot of troubleshooting. So I hope some of my experience will help you with your sticker making journey and to make it a little less stressful. So tip number one, when loading your Cricut mat, sometimes the rollers don't pull the mats in evenly. So for example, this one, when I pulled it in, you can see this little white notch here. It hits the green mat about right there. And then when you go over to the other side here, you can see that it's slightly below where it was on the other side. So sometimes I would just pull in the mat a couple times. So these notches here look a little bit more even. You can see now that the corners here, they looked pretty equal. So when you're putting down your sticker sheet on your Cricut mat, just make sure you're not smoothing it down like this and touching all the black lines, because glossy paper does tend to smudge, especially dark ink. So like when you're putting it down, don't go like that, because you end up with all these black smudges on your hands. Also, if you're using glossy paper, a lot of the times the Cricut won't recognize it. So then you can use some matte Scotch tape. Just make sure it's not the clear one and the one that looks a little bit frosty. And then what you can do is you can put this over the registration lines, and then usually it works after that. Some of the times when you cut, after 3 or 4 or 5 cuts, the blade gets a little bit dull and it doesn't seem to cut as deep as before. Usually the settings I have it on now should cut right through the laminate and the sticker paper, but as you can see with some of these ones on the side, it's not cutting all the way through. So when this happens, it's not necessarily that your blade is dull. So I'll show you what the blade looks like. So usually your blade just needs to be cleaned a little bit, and then it'll go back to cutting like it normally would. So when you think your blade starts getting dull, where it actually isn't, it most likely is because you have to clean your blade a little bit. So you can see this blade, there's a little bit of stuff on it. So I usually just clean it with a cloth. Steel wool is good, like the one we're used to clean dishes with, but I feel like for the most part, if you just wipe it like this, it'll go back to cutting like normal. When you also cut kiss cut stickers, sometimes it's not obvious when they start, the peeling starts to become like this because your blade becomes dirty and you need to clean it. So just make sure, usually it's the last one on the bottom right corner for me, that's the hardest to peel. So if you do this and it's not coming up easily, then you know it's getting stuck, so then you need to clean your blade. So I would say after every 4 or 5 cuts, I don't peel off the last one, but so for example this one, which is cut fine, I kind of just like lift the edges and make sure it can lift easily, and if I see that, then it's safe. Sometimes you might notice that, especially when you're cutting small sheet stickers, that you're getting these like little jagged edges like here. I find that when this happens like on a consistent basis, that it's time to change the blade. And then after I change the blade, I don't get these anymore. Also, when you are making your sticker sheets, unlike me here, try not to place them too close apart, because then you're going to be more prone to getting these little edges here. But again, most of the times when you start seeing edges like this, it's probably time to change your blade. But sometimes with a lot of sticker sheets and the stickers that you've already printed out, they curl up like this. I think when the temperature is too hot, or you put it in a container that's too small for the sticker, they just end up curling like this. And one solution I found is that I just put it in my scanner in my printer for a couple hours, and then it should smooth itself out. So I'm gonna put this right in here, and then I just carry about my day, and then I come back to it later, and then usually it should be pretty flat by the time I come back. You can also put it in between books, but I just find that this is a lot easier. So you can see after it's been in here for a while, it's pretty much nice and flat now. Now you can also do this with paper that's a little bit curled. A lot of the times if you have like matte sticker paper, it does tend to curl up a little bit. This one's okay actually, but a lot of times if it's too hot in your house, they'll curl up more to the point where it's hard for you to print. So you can also put that in here and that will also flatten that. So sometimes stickers can be hard to peel, especially die cut ones, because you have to have nails to kind of peel in between. So if you wanted to be easier for your customers to peel, you can get one of these. I'll link it in the description, but they just have a little cutter here, so you flip it over, you just hold it flat, and then you can do a crease here. So you can peel it like that, so it's a lot easier to peel. Another tip is how I store my stickers. So I keep them in this pink binder. So inside my binder I have the trading card sheets, and there's 9 of them, and each slot is about 3.6 inches by 2.9, and you can fit a lot of stickers in here because the pouches are quite roomy. The longest side of all my die cut stickers are about 3 inches. The ones that are a little bit wider that have trouble fitting in here, I just keep on the pouches on the side here. So for my sheet stickers, I use these 3.5 by 5 inch photo sleeves, and they work really well. I can fit a lot of sheets in one pocket, so they just slide in like this. My sheet stickers are about 3.3 inches by 4.6, so they fit very well in here. Another tip is that when you go to print, so depending if you choose matte or glossy, the darkness and saturation of your sticker that comes out will come out differently, and I'll show you the difference. So with matte paper, it tends to come out a little bit lighter, and with glossy paper, it tends to come out a little bit darker. So as you can see here, these are both matte paper. So usually for glossy paper, I always choose glossy for my settings, but for matte paper, depending on what kind of style you want, you can see this one was printed under the glossy settings, so it does come out a lot more saturated and darker, so I do prefer this look as opposed to if you choose matte. It comes out just a little bit lighter. This was the matte setting and this was the glossy setting, but both on matte paper. So the next tip is when your matte starts to get dirty like this, I usually put my sheets right here. You can just flip it over. So most of this side is unused, and I usually find that it cuts perfectly well when I put it on this side and I feed it through my Cricut. The alignment is fine, so you just get twice the use out of one mat. So then I would start on this side now, and then the tackiness of this side is a lot better than continuing with this side. One last tip is that when a sticker paper says that it's waterproof, it does not mean the ink is waterproof. You can see, so this is the weatherproof matte from Sheet Labels, and I just ran it through my tap, and that's what it came out to. Usually when a paper says that it's waterproof, it means that this actual paper is waterproof, that it's not going to crinkle or leave weird residue if you run it under water. However, the ink is still going to come off, and that is why I laminate all my stickers. So with the waterproof laminate over it, sometimes the edges will leak a little bit, but then it'll dry more or less normal, but this won't happen if you laminate your sticker. So I really hope that helped, and thank you for watching.